everybody, welcome to a new video. Today is going to be a short sewing video, and I want to show you the floating stitches from the Quilt Expression 720. I think this was one of the features that made me choose this model of Pfaff. I did not have that in my older Quilt Expression 4.2. So this feature, they also have it in the really expensive icon machines, but this one has a little bit lesser than the really expensive one, but I think is just enough for what I need. It's a very cool stitch. There are actually a few in this machine, and to access them you have to go to the stitches menu, and then from the essential stitches you'll go here to menu number 8, and here you'll see ribbon stitches, stacking stitches and floating stitches, and this is what we are looking for. And here you have 10 different floating stitches. Let's say we want to try the first one, the little crosses, and I think we can make them a little bit bigger. And here you have the thread tension, and here the width of the stitch. In the manual they are talking about two ways to make this stitch. You can use a piece of fabric, and then the piece of fabric you fold it in two like this, and then you have to add some interfacing. I have here only a small strip that the interfacing needs to come just over a little bit over the edge here, so that you'll have it, let's say here, and also out of the folded edge. And then you have to sew. I'm going to show you in a minute. And then when you open up, and you have here the floating stitches, and when you press, your interfacing is going to be pressed on your fabric. Of course you can use also sewing interface, I think, but I'm using fusible interfacing for this. The other method they are talking in the manual is to use two pieces of fabric, right sides together, and then with a piece of interfacing under. And I'm using again the fusible interfacing with the glue part against the fabric. And then they say that it will be like if you want to decorate this exactly on the seam between two fabrics. Let's say if you have a center front seam on a bodice, you can use this technique to get a very nice row of floating stitches exactly on that seam. And to do that, so you have two pieces of two layers of fabric right sides together, and a piece of interfacing under. And let me push this one a little bit under. And I'm using this neon thread for the upper thread, and in the bobbin I have a dark blue thread that we can really see which one is which. And then you can use your regular seam allowance. Let's say that we are using a pattern with a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then we can start sewing, and we'll see what we get. I'm going to let it sew like 3 motifs, and then we are going to take a look. So, if this was your bodice, let's say, or let's say it's the center back of a jeans jacket, this is how it's going to look, what you just sewn. And this is the underside, and this is what you want to have, that you see also both the threads, bobbin and the upper thread on your work. And then the idea is to open this up You have to pull it a little bit. Don't pull it too hard, because if you start to see your bobbin thread, that means that you've pulled already too hard. And look how beautiful this is looking. If you were to press this, then everything, the fusible will be attached, will be fused in place immediately. And this is how the back of your garment is going to look. I think it's nice to trim this first before you are pressing at the width that you want. And then this you will have exactly on the center of your seam. I think it's a really cool detail. And of course you'll be able to finish this raw edge on the inside, let's say with a serger or with another finishing technique. I think we can try another one. Let's see another motif. I have here another swatch prepared. I have two pieces of, I think this is a cotton with a little bit of stretch in it. So cotton with a piece of interfacing, again with a fusible against the fabric. And then we can choose maybe another motif. Let's see. We go back. This is the back button to go back in the previous menu. And then maybe we can try like, let's see, the circles I have already. Let's see. Let's try this one. We can make it bigger. And we'll see what we get. Again, you can use this method to decorate like a seam between two fabrics. This is how it's looking. These are the small dots. And let's take a try on this one. And then I'm going to show you how to use the other method when you are decorating only one piece of fabric. Also that you can use of course for garments and for pillows and these kind of things. Let's see. This is how the row is looking now. So now you have here, this is the upper thread where you have the small motifs with a row of stitches between. And the idea is that on the good side you see only the motifs without the stitches, and this is why they are called floating stitches. I think the density is really nice. And this is the back where the fusible interfacing is, where you can see also good the bobbin thread. And let's see if we are going to open this up. Don't pull too hard. As I said, you don't want to have your bobbin stitches showing. And I think this is looking really beautiful. Imagine you can use this on all kind of seams. I think it's really gorgeous. It's so easy to make. And of course I think the fusible is really nice because it's giving you a good support to all these stitches that are pretty dense here. And as I said, you can finish your raw edge with a zigzag stitch or with a bias band or with a serger or whatever finishing technique you would like. And this is how your stitch is going to look on your seam. I'm going to prepare a swatch to show you how the stitch is looking only on one layer of fabric. So in the book you have, as I said, you have two techniques where you can use the floating stitches. You can use it to attach two pieces of fabric, like this, where you decorate a seam. So here I have two different pieces of fabric, like you can see here better. This is a piece of denim and a piece of cotton. They're attached together with the floating stitches exactly in the middle of the seam. And the other way is to decorate a piece of fabric, and I use that here. As you can see here, this is on only one piece of fabric. And to do that, the best and the easiest way is to have a presser foot like this with a blade in the middle, as you can see here, where you can later you'll see you need to you need to fold the fabric, and the fold needs to run against this blade. Of course, you can use it also with the standard foot, and we are going to try that in a minute. But let's see how it's going with the edge stitch foot. I'm going to pop it on the machine, and I am going to use again a piece of denim, fold it into, let's say that this is a piece of a bodice from a jacket, let's say, on the center back, exactly on the back. I want to have a seam running down the back of floating stitches, and I'm going to fold the fabric exactly where I want to have the floating stitches, and then use a piece of fusible interfacing with the glue facing the fabric, let's say, so against the feed dog. And the idea is that you have interfacing both under the fabric and extending. And we can decide on a motif we want to have. Let's see, the fold needs to be exactly against this blade here from the foot. And let's see what we can use. Maybe we can use the squares. I think it's nice. Make it a little bit bigger. And let's see what we get. The idea is to have the fabric exactly against that fold, the fold exactly against that blade on your foot. And I'm just pulling a little bit on the interfacing that is not, how should I say, crumbling against that fold, because then I cannot open the stitches very well. I've noticed that. Maybe I could a solution to this problem could be a little bit more stable interfacing. This is very thin. So this is how they are looking at the moment. Here you have the fabric, here you have the interfacing, and I can swear I used the wrong side of the interfacing, but I think, so do as I said, not as I do. The glue should face the fabric. Okay, let's see. Now we can open it up. We can see what we get. I think it's really magic. It's looking so nice. Look at this. And if you are going to press it, then it's going to look really, really nice. Very easy way to decorate your garments. And this is how it's looking from the inside. It's important to have the glue against the fabric when you are sewing, because now if you will trim this interfacing, I like to use my pinking shears for it. Then you have a nice edge. And as I said, it's important to have the glue against the fabric when you are sewing this, because otherwise when you are going to press this, this is going to stick to your pressing board or to your iron, and you don't want that. So the glue should face always the fabric when you are sewing. And then everything is going to look really nice. And as I have it here on this sample, this is ironed. You can see it's looking really, really nice. I really wanted to show you also how you can use your standard sewing presser foot that you have on your machine when you buy it. So let's see how that is going to look. I have here again a piece of denim with a piece of interfacing, this time with the glue facing up, so against the fabric. And the idea is, this is a little bit difficult, let's see. I stopped it earlier in the middle of one of the motifs, so to be sure that I get it right. If you press this button here up, this one, then the machine is going to start again from the beginning of the motif. I'm doing that always, this also when I'm sewing a buttonhole, and if I'm making a sample, then when I start again the real one or another sample, I always press this button to be sure that my buttonhole is going to start from the beginning. So I was curious to see now if what is going to happen if I put the thread tension a little bit lower. So I normally is 2.4. I have it now on 2. Let's see how the stitches are going to look now. So the purpose of this demonstration is to see if we can do this without the special foot with the blade that is helping us, of course. The idea is that you go a little bit slower this time, and let's see, I'm going to turn the wheel a little bit with the hand to see where the needle is coming. So I need to position my fabric to find another guideline on this foot in such a way that the needle is coming just next to the fold. That's very important for these stitches. And I see that if I am following exactly the line, there is a line here, I'm going to show it to you. Let's see that if I'm going to follow, so the idea is to find yourself a guide on this foot, and I just you can turn a little bit the wheel with your hand, and on my case I see that if I'm going to run the fold just against this red mark, then I'm going to be okay. But now I need to go really much slower than with the other foot, because of course I need to maneuver the fabric a lot more to be sure that I am sewing that row of straight stitches exactly next to the fold, so only in the interfacing and not in the fabric. So let's see. I think if you really want to use these stitches a lot in your projects, I think it will be worth invested in such a edge stitch foot, because it's making life really much easier. Okay, let's see. This is how it's looking now. So I have here the fabric, I have here the interfacing, this time with the glue part facing the fabric. So when I'm going to open this up and pressing it, everything is going to stick together, and this is the idea. Okay, so we have it now like this. As you can see, I have much more thread from the upper thread than from the bobbin, like we had in the first time. The first time we had much more bobbin thread. So let's see how it's looking now with the lower tension, as I said. Maybe it's going to open up even better, because you have, of course, more thread. And I think I like it. But I think if you decide to make this in a real project, it's really a good idea to make a few swatches first, also with the tension and the size, and you know, maybe different colors. So this is how it's looking. I think it's looking pretty decent, thinking that we made it without any help from that special foot. and this is from the inside. And as I said, trim it maybe with pinking shears. It's looking nice. And then give it a press, and there you have the floating stitches with the regular foot from your machine. So this was the video for today. I think it was really fun to make all these stitches. To make an overview on what we made, so we tried the floating stitches from the Pfaff720 on a few, on both ways that they are describing also in the manual, and the two ways. So they were putting two pieces of fabric together, so decorating with the floating stitches, decorating a seam, or to decorate just a piece of fabric like this. I used 3 or 4 kinds. These are the dots. Here I use this to put together a piece of cotton and a piece of denim. I think it's a really cool stitch that you can use in a lot of decorating projects, like pillows, pillowcases and stuff like that, blankets, and of course for garments this is also great. This is another motif. As you can see, the density is really nice, and the seam is also very sturdy. This is how it's looking from behind. I think it's important to use a piece of interfacing because the stitches are pretty dense, as you can see, and a little bit of support is really good. And this is another swatch we made with the little crosses, and this is of course needs to be pressed, and as I said, with the edge finished. This is also very nice, also for attaching to pieces of fabric, where you only need to watch that you are keeping your seam allowance straight. And of course we tried to decorate a piece of just a piece of fabric. Here is only one piece of fabric with the fusible underneath. And here, so for this one we used the regular tension from the machine. Here I lowered the tension for the upper thread, and I think it's much easier to open than this one. And also here we used the regular presser foot of the machine, where you need to keep your eyes on a guide that you must choose on your foot to be sure that you're running the stitches, the fold just next to the needle when those row of straight stitches are made. And these are the small dots that I used earlier today when I tried the stitches. So this was the video for today. I hope you enjoyed. This is a very cool stitch or stitches that you can do with this Pfaff720. And if you enjoyed, don't forget to like the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos about the Pfaff720, I'm going to make them on a regular basis from now on. And if you have any requests, you can put them here in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them, and maybe make a video if there are things that you cannot understand from the machine. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!